Hi, my name is Kate Erbland. I'm the editorial director of IndieWire, and it is my great pleasure to welcome some of the members of the Christy team. We have a writer, director, and producer, David Michôd. We have star Merritt Wever. And our star and producer, Sydney Sweeney. So let's start with the big easy question, which is how this came together. I think, Sydney, you'd been looking for something special for a while. So how did this start?
Well, David had the script. Do you want to start with how it actually started with you, and then I'll go on? So I had been circling a few different projects, and my agent sent me Christy, and I was on a plane, and I read it, and I started bawling my eyes out. I had never reacted that viscerally to a script before, and I remember going a few rows back to my agent and being like, when I land, I want to get on a call with the director. Like, I don't care what time it is when I land. Like, I want to get on a phone call. And within, I think, 2 hours, I got on a Zoom with David, and I was like, I want this so bad. I will completely lose myself for this. I'll give it my 110, 150% that I've got, and please believe in me. And he did.
Said I'd think about it.
He did. He had to think about it.
I didn't. I'd seen Sydney in Tina Satter's film Reality. I knew that she could act. I knew that she had a fight background. She had trained as a mixed martial artist for a number of years. The one unanswered question I had was, how much does she want it? Because she's going to need to do a lot of work, and that question was answered on that call, so I didn't have to do anything.
It got to the point that, so once I came on, we took it out for financing. We brought Black Bear on, and I started training and gaining weight before we even got greenlit. Before we even had soft prep money come in, I was like, I'll take it under myself and I'll start gaining weight and training.
What was everyone's knowledge base about the real Christy before you started? Like, David, how did you learn about Christy? Sydney, when did you realize, like, I need to learn about this woman? Merritt, what did you even know about Christy?
I didn't know anything, embarrassingly. I didn't know anything until I got an invitation to meet with David, who similarly said, I need to think about it for like a month. It was not, it took a while to hear that like he was inviting me on board, I remember, but yeah. Oh, I didn't mean, yeah. I was very, very happy to be asked, and I also appreciate sometimes when somebody takes their time, because it means, when they do say yes, it's an honest one. And I, read the script. I'd seen David's films, and I remember I didn't know until the last day when one of our producers, Carrie, told me that it hadn't originated like from the ground with you, because I had thought, oh, well, this is such a David film. It's, so much of your stuff is like coming of age or hero's journey stuff, and so I had thought that it had come like organically just from you, or stuff about people leaving one family and finding another and needing to figure out how to navigate it and who to trust and stuff like that. So I thought it was very much one of your stories.
Well, David, I think you've been sort of wonderfully honest about this, that you're kind of known for the sorts of movies that Merritt points out, but also kind of dude movies. Done a lot of movies with guys. At what point do you think I want to do something about a woman, or was it Christy that brought you in?
It's very much Christy. But I was very conscious of the fact that, I didn't set out to do this by design. I was looking back at the things I'd made and went, oh, there's a recurring theme here that I didn't realize. realise was at play, which is just movies about men who are kind of delusional, or men who it's movies about men who come to realise they've been wrong about everything, you know, and which is probably therefore like movies about myself, you know, or movies about the kinds of men that frighten me, you know, the kinds of delusional men who think they know more than they actually do, the kinds of men who run the world. Anyway, I did start to feel like, I would love to make a movie about a woman with just a big personality. I didn't know what that would be, and then I didn't know who Christy was before I started, but I saw that documentary on Netflix that Laura Brownson made that is really, really good. If anyone here hasn't seen it, I highly recommend you go and watch it. Now that you've seen the actual, the whatever that was, watch the documentary. It's a really great kind of addendum, I think.
Sydney, you start transforming yourself physically before the movie is even greenlit. What other things were important to learn about the real Christy, aside from the physicality of what she did?
I wanted to know her essence. I wanted to learn what has stayed with her from 20-year-old Christy to who she is now. And when I finally got to meet her, I was really nervous. I was very intimidated. A lot of talks with David about it because I was like, I don't know, is she gonna like me? I don't know what the process is gonna be like. And within a few minutes, I was like, okay, I want her around 24/7. She's amazing. She's the greatest corner man. Like, she's awesome. And she was, of course, a wealth of information. And you pick up on that energy and on that essence by being around her. Because the fighter that she is, it didn't come out because she became a boxer. Like, she was a fighter from the day she was born. And that was the essence that I was really happy to discover within her in a very emotional sense.
How early did she get involved with the project?
I mean, so Mira Folks, who I wrote the screenplay with, and I started having, you know, we were in Australia, and just started having long distance Zooms with her, and kind of just sussing her out, and I'm sure she was sussing us out as well. I think Christy was really nervous about having to surrender herself to like what she feared might be a Hollywood machine. I think she found it actually quite reassuring that Mira and I are Australian, and that we were one step removed from that whole world. And then I was finishing another movie. Mira went to Florida and hung out with Christy and Lisa and went to all the places and did all the stuff and wrote a first draft herself. And then I came in and we did a few more passes, and we were like terrified about showing the script to Christy, but she had no notes. It was weird. She had a handful of technical things, you know, just technical jargon, but I don't know, we warmed to her really quickly. It's the thing that I discovered about Christy. You know, despite the fact that she made a living punching women in the head and was from a boxing world, a kind of gangster world, she had, you know, there was a lot of trash talk and a lot of, you know, some pretty fierce rivalries and stuff. We all came to discover, I think, just that despite everything she's been through, there's something very beautiful and gentle and sweet and kind and funny about her. Like, she will be a friend of ours for the rest of our lives, I think, which is good.
I know, Sydney and Merritt, some of these scenes with you two that are so rich and emotional and really upsetting, it was within like the first few days of you guys starting to work together. So I think my original question was like, well, how do you bond? But I guess that's still a question. How do you bond and then break that bond apart just by the way these two women interact with each other?
Merritt had a very hard first day. The scene where Christy goes to ask for help and needs her mom, that was Merritt's first scene. And that was our first Wednesday. It was a lot. It was very heavy.
Yeah, I sometimes prefer not to talk about it too much before we do it. So that was actually one of the scenes I felt a little more like loose in than later ones. Like the more I talk about the work or the more I talk about acting, sometimes the stickier I get. But yeah, that was our first scene, and I think shoot day number 3. Yeah.
How do you feel at the end of a day like that?
I find it much more painful the days that I went home that I didn't feel like I did a good job or didn't get to the place that I wanted to get to, or where I thought David wanted me to get to or the script needed. Those are the days that are painful to me, not when I happen to be like honestly experiencing an emotion that's difficult or whatever we call bad. It's when I feel that I'm supposed to and I don't get there as an actor that I go home and I feel horrible and it lasts for months. It's better now, it used to be years. I'm pushing for days.
Days would be
Sorry
good.
about that.
Oh no, this is progress. Like, yeah.
You know me, I don't move on unless I'm happy.
Okay.
You know, Sydney made me this hat. It says, great, let's do one more. I just keep going until I feel like I've squeezed the juice out of this. I've got what I need. So whatever I think you were eating was just my resting bitch face.
Well, it's also confusing when you say, let's just do one more, and then it's 30 takes later.
Sydney, how do you feel at the end of a day like that, where you have like, obviously the physical demands were great, but I think the emotional demands seem somehow even higher. These scenes that you have with Merritt, even thinking about them now, weeks after seeing the movie, they're heartbreaking. What is it like for you at the end of a day like that? Do you shake it off, or is it still sticking with you?
Kind of like when Christy said when she's in the ring, everything else goes quiet, and that's where she's free. It's kind of the same for me when I'm on set and I'm in a scene. When they call action, I'm Christy, and when they call cut, I'm Sid. And I don't bring any of it home. It's all lives in that ring. My fight, my acting, it's inside that set, and it doesn't carry itself over.
I'm curious about what it's like for you to write these fight scenes and then see them made real, because like, how do you write a fight scene? Is it just they fight because these things are so technical and Sydney is so incredible in these scenes, but what does that look like on a page and how does that translate?
Yeah, it's kind of ugly on the page. It's, you know, and you write big print to kind of just communicate to everyone that this is going to be a big fight and this one's going to be a small one, knowing that all of those beats in the actual script will get fine-tuned when you start working with a fight choreographer. We had such a fantastic guy, a guy named Wally Garcia, who, you know, my brief to him was that I wanted to lean into the mess. I did a lot of studying of Christy's actual fights, and one thing I was drawn to was how messy they are. No matter how good a fighter she was and strategic those fights were, they're a mess. You know, you get exhausted. There's lots of swings and misses. You've got an unpredictable opponent, and so I wanted Wally to lean into the mess of the fights. So yeah, I mean, it's not a fun read. Just like she punches her, and then she punches her back.
But also all the fights are actual fights that Christy had. So all the combinations and the sequences that you see are her actual combinations in real life, which was really cool.
Sydney, do you have a favorite fight?
Probably the Go Rudy fight. I thought it was badass of Christy to just hold her hands down and just let her get punched in the face. That's a power move right there.
Who knew what was gonna happen in the who knew what happened in Christy's marriage? Anyone here, did you know what was gonna happen? Okay, a few people knew. That sequence with Ben it's like nothing I've ever seen. I would love to hear from Sydney what it was like to film that, because I saw it in the theater and I was just like, I don't understand how she lived. And I think that's also part of your performance, is just like you were so, it's remarkable. But what is it like to film that, and how do you feel at the end of that day?
So that was our first Friday. The whole first week of our filming was everything that you guys saw in the house between the family and Ben. So it was a really heavy week, and it was an emotional week. And that Friday, everyone understood the weight of what we were going to film and the importance and the emotional journey that everyone was going to go on. But honestly, having David be the incredible leader that he was, he knew exactly how he wanted to shoot it, how we were going to conduct it. Ben is an incredibly talented actor who just challenges you and pushes you to want to do more and more and go deeper and deeper, and I felt completely safe with him to go to those kind of places and explore and discover new things together. So when you're in it, you feel all the weight, and then when you're out of it, we can talk about it and see what else we have to do. But it was definitely, of course, a very important day, if not the most important day of the entire filming on day 5.
David, did you make me do it again? How many times?
Oh no, we didn't have time. We had to shoot that whole sequence, and her escaping out on the road and picked up there. We had to do all of that in one day, and it was, but it was good to. I actually, at first, I was like, oh man, I can't believe because of the schedule we're going to have to shoot this in the first week, and then very quickly, you know, after checking in with Sid and Ben that they were cool with doing it, and too, I thought, no, this is going to be good for us. We'll get it off the slate, so it won't be looming over us for the whole. And also, it will be a constant reminder to us for the rest of the shoot where we're headed. You know? There's going to be a lot of fun, silly stuff in the film before this scene, and I think it was good for us to just always have in the back of our minds. I think it was another amazing thing was how good it was for the crew. We shot that. We kept Christy away from that week. It was an ugly week, week 1, but then she turned up on the Monday of week 2, like right after us having shot that scene, and she walked onto the set. The first AD introduced her to the crew, and the crew just all stood there and applauded for like 10 minutes. I think they knew in their bones that. I think it was good for Christy as well to see that these people are all here for the right reason. This isn't just a job. They're feeling some larger importance.
I've never experienced that either. I remember when we were shooting the hospital scene where the family is around Christy, they were shooting her coverage. I looked over after cut, and the camera operator, you know, pulled his eye back from, you know, whatever you call it, the viewfinder, and the camera piece had just been holding 2 tears that just like rolled down his face. And I remember looking around and being like, oh, this might be a different kind of experience for me on set. And I wasn't wrong. I think that the respect that people had for Sid as an actor and as number 1 on the call sheet and a professional and a producer, the way she conducted herself, I think people really respected her, and the affection and respect people had for Christy also got transplanted onto her. And I had a very chilly experience. Like I had thought that maybe it was because I was in a wig and I looked so different than myself, and there was like discord between how I approach people, which is, you know, like a frumpy Muppet, and then like the severity of the wig and stuff, that like I would offer a hello and people were just like that. And then I ran into I think a grip who had worked on Christy with us on my next job. And the first thing we did when we saw each other was talk about how much we respected her, the way she conducted herself on set, and also the job she did. She was like, yeah, he was like, yeah, I pulled her aside after wrap. I've never done that with an actor before. Just had to tell her how great she was and how good she was. And he asked me, you know, what was it like for you? And I said, I don't know, I didn't feel like I got connected to anybody like on set. And he was like, yeah, I think that's the part you were playing. And I said, well, no, I mean, I was in a wig and I didn't look like it. And he just interrupted me. He was like, no, that's the part you were playing. And I realized, like, there was so much affection and love and respect for Christy and for Sid that they felt very protective and defensive, and they did not want to talk to me. And it was a really lonely shoot. But happy for the job, happy for the job.
I think, oh, David, go ahead.
I was just going to apologize.
Really? Sydney, I think this is going to be our last question, but having gone on this journey and having Christy alongside for so much of it, I know you're continuing to do press with her. I had the great honor of meeting Christy the same day I met you in Toronto, and she is amazing. You were someone who was very inspired by just reading about her story. Now, all these months and almost years on, how do you reflect back on Christy and how she's inspired you and how it's made you feel?
I think Christy's changed my life. I think that she will probably be the most important character that I'll ever play, and the most important story that I'll tell. And she says that she hopes this movie saves lives, and I hope that it does too. And she hopes that one day, whether it's next year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, that a father sits his daughter down and just says, I want you to watch this movie because I never want you to end up in a situation like this. And if we can be a part of that mission and helping Christy champion her story, then it's the most proud I'll ever be.
I don't think it gets any better than that. I think that's where we end. The film is in theaters this Friday. Please tell everyone thank you all so much for a wonderful plan. Thank you to Sydney, Merritt, and David for joining us and making this wonderful